Stoke, in order to get to where you want to go, do you have to lose games like this? Do you have to lose games like this so that you can experience the pain of them, understand what it takes to win, understand what it takes to finish, recognize the opponent and how they were able to find a way to win? Is this the kind of loss you have to go through along the journey to becoming great again?
I don't think so. I think all teams, usually go through tough losses, though. But I don't think you have to have tough losses to be a winner and to be a good football team. But I do think there is some positives in this football game. You look at what this offense was able to do when Kansas City finally took the lead, and they made plays. They converted third downs. They stayed on the football field. They gave themselves a chance to win. So I think that's a huge positive if you're looking at your young quarterback and you're looking at Bo Nix and the experience that he got on the road in that big moment. How do you respond? And offensively, they did. They responded in a big way, and they did everything they needed to do to win that football game. And so you don't want to lose sight of that. But I don't think you need to go through heartache and hardships to all of a sudden. There's been a lot of it here. So does this team need to do that? I would say not in that fashion.
But doesn't it feel, though, that I feel like with this group, because of the rookie quarterback, that there is a sense that this team is its own new team compared to years past that we've been watching. I feel like, okay, this is the Bronco team that we hope is going to grow into, an AFC championship contender. I don't really even factor in last year's team for obvious reasons. It's this year's team, so it's what is this team doing? And you had, you look at some of these drives during the course of the game, and you look at the final drive, and look who's out there. Look who's making the plays. Rookie quarterback Bo Nix, rookie running back Audric Estime, rookie wide receiver Devon Vele, second-year player Marvin Mims. Youth was being served in these big moments of this game yesterday. So I'd like to think for this collective group, a pretty young group this year, I'm going to hope that, as much as I know you're worried that this loss might linger into next week, I'd like to think that these are the kind of losses that will only accelerate this team's development.
I hope you end up being right. Time will tell. I just, and I know what you're saying here when you look at this team. This team is different than last year's and the year before, and got our new coach, and this is kind of his team now that he was able to put together. And I do believe that they have the right guys here to be able to bounce back from this type of loss. But these seem to linger a little bit longer than the butt whippings. You get your tail whipped. It's okay. Hey, there's just one of those days. You lose like you lost yesterday. Now you replay every single play, every single moment that could have changed the outcome of that football game, and those are tough to overcome.
Is there anything you look back on that final drive that you would have done differently?
Not really. What would you? I would have scored a touchdown with 1 second left. They played it the way they wanted to play it. They did exactly what they were trying to do, which was to have an opportunity to win the game and leave no time for Patrick Mahomes, which has been proven that's the thing you've got to do when it comes to Patrick Mahomes and that offense. And so you played it out perfectly. You consumed the clock. You drove the ball. You gave yourself a chip shot field goal in today's NFL, and then you didn't execute on PAT field goal. I don't know what else you want. What else you wanted to accomplish, but you accomplished pretty much everything that you set out to accomplish on that particular drive, and that's what ended up happening to you. So, no, could you have done anything else? Like I said, could you have scored with 3 seconds left, a touchdown? Then you still got to kick off to him. Mike, they did exactly what they were trying to do. They accomplished it all. And they end up losing because of a blocked field goal. You walk away, you tip your cap, and you feel pretty good about the way you played in Kansas City.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was, you just didn't want to give time for Mahomes to try to beat you. And they accomplished that, and they gave themselves a chip shot field goal. The one thing here is if you know you have an issue on the left side, you don't want to be on the right hash, right? I get it. That's where your kicker wants to be, okay? So I understand that, but at a certain point you have to look at it and say, okay, hey, how do you feel about the middle? How do you feel about the left hash? And so that would be the only hang-up here. But I think overall, no. I mean, it played out about as good as it could play out. You have a chip shot field goal to win the game with no time left, and you just couldn't finish it.
Bo Nix on what he feels the Broncos accomplished.
Oh, yeah. We were very confident. We feel we can compete against a lot of teams in this league, all of them, really. We faced some really good teams this year and been literally a one-possession game, feels like, in every single one of them. So we're close. We just got to find ways to get over the hump. We got to find ways to make a play. When they don't, make the play that wins it. You know, in this league, that's the line between playoff teams, championship teams, and the other guys. So we're going to continue to fight. We don't have a bunch of guys that are going to hang their heads and quit. We're going to continue to fight and battle, and each week is going to have something else in store, and we just got to respond.
Stink, every week we do it. What's your evaluation of Bo after this one?
Listen, the last 2 weeks against the two best teams in the AFC, nobody would argue that Baltimore, maybe people would put Pittsburgh in there now, but going in the last 2 weeks, the two best teams in the AFC are Baltimore and Kansas City. And Bo Nix has played well in back-to-back games, albeit back-to-back losses. I'll give you that. But Bo Nix has played well, and Bo Nix has never looked overwhelmed. I watched Chicago last weekend. He looked overwhelmed. I've seen other guys look overwhelmed. Bo never looked overwhelmed against the two best teams in the AFC. So my evaluation is he's on track. And you're sitting at 500 right now. And you've got a chance to be a playoff team going down the stretch. Like, it's exactly – if you'd have told me, like we always play this game, if you'd have told me before the season started that you'd be 5-5 and you missed a chip shot field goal with 1 second left to win in Kansas City, I tell you, everybody would take that.
Yeah, you're in the playoffs if the season ended today. You are, and that's what you have to take away. That's what you have to look at. You have to flush yesterday and know that you still have a lot to play for. You control your own destiny. The Denver Broncos do. You go out there and you take care of business here down the stretch, and you'll be in the playoffs. So you got to be able to move on past that one. It's a tough loss, and I think they will. I think they got the staff to do it and the players to do it, and we'll see against Atlanta what it looks like.
Some Stoke frustration, a little bit, I don't know, I just found your reaction to what I thought was kind of funny, kind of cool, kind of classic Michael Malone. So this was after the Nuggets won last night, after yet another just virtuoso performance by Nikola Jokic with 37 points, 18 rebounds, 15 assists, 3 steals. Here's what Malone had to say.
I would assume that after tonight's performance, he'll probably be like 5th in the MVP voting early in the season. So he's just got to do more for us because what he's doing hasn't been noticed by everybody outside of this Rocky Mountain Empire. But 37, 15, and 18, 3 steals, the number of pick and rolls that he guarded tonight.
All right, what's your beef, Stoke?
What do you mean it hasn't been noticed outside the Rocky Mountain Empire? He's won 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here? He's got noticed. He's been noticed, yeah. Why are we talking about MVP stuff anymore? Who cares if he's noticed? We love him. We appreciate him. I'm done with the MVP talk.
Well,
wait, let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish
all right,
here. I'm done with it because I really think it affected him 2 years ago. When Embiid won it, all that talk and people were coming at him left and right, and he's just like, whatever, I'm done with this. Don't make it a topic of conversation anymore. I just don't like it. It's an individual award. He's won 3 out of 4. So let's just put that to bed and stop talking about the MVP stuff.
But in defense of Malone, because it is foolish, it is absolutely mind-bendingly foolish that you have these kind of MVP check-ins, updates, 10 games into the season, an eighth of the way through the season, but they do it. And this is in response to an MVP ladder. They do these MVP ladders that get released at certain checkpoints during the course of the season, and one was put out publicly on a couple of different forums, and it had Anthony Davis. This was from NBA TV. AD leads the way in the first MVP ladder of the season. This was put out by NBA TV. And it had Anthony Davis, number 1, Jason Tatum, number 2, and Nikola Jokic, number 3. So if the NBA is going to do these silly things, all right, then we are entitled to respond to it and point out how ridiculous it is.
That
these two. Well, it just
not the coach.
Why not? Why can't
we're 10 games into the season?
Why, Mark?
Who cares?
Why can't the coach stand up for his player? What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that. Stoke. There's two things going on here. One, Stoke is a little bit irritated because he has bed sores from never getting out of his house over the course of the snowstorm. Like, that's one. So, Stoke was trapped all weekend at his house, couldn't get out, car in the driveway until it started melting yesterday. And then it's his, panic 8.5 Nuggets panic button that is bothering him right now. No, listen, man, I understand. Heck, I'm out here on the East Coast, and I know how TV works from the standpoint of we're not talking about the Nuggets. We won't talk begrudgingly. You talk about the Nuggets if you have to, because they don't move the needle. But yeah, you know what? The NBA puts the things out, the MVP stuff. If the season were to end today, all that garbage, and it is garbage. And yeah, I love Malone sticking up for his guys. Not that I don't think Nikola really cares, but yeah, Malone does that for his team and his guys, so I don't mind that at all.
Stoke, you got to realize that, and you've seen it, there's an understandable sore spot for Nugget fans out here that even with the greatness of what Nikola has accomplished, the 3 MVPs, the NBA championship, there is still this perception that he is slighted. Can you imagine if LeBron or AD or SGA or Luka or Tatum were putting up the kind of triple numbers that Jokic has been putting up, they'd be passed out. They'd be passed out. They wouldn't be able to talk about it. And yet, Bronny's first game in the G League gets more attention than what Jokic is doing. And naturally, even if you understand what Stink is saying and deep down you understand the way the TV game is played, it still pisses you off.
Yeah, I get it.
And so, if the coach,
10 games in, what are we doing?
Well,
if you're 60 in and you want to do that, and you're reacting to an NBA TV.
But this is the league, the NBA TV, put out by the league. This is the league's network. They put it out. So if the league's going to put it out, damn right you're going to respond to it.
No,
and get upset at it.
Who cares what they're talking about? That has no bearing. We got 72 more games to play, and you're already using that card and playing that card right now. I mean, come on. Hey, just pump him up, and I'm fine with that. But to keep playing the disrespect card and this and that, and man, I mean, give me a break. Let's try to win another championship. Jokic isn't worried about winning another MVP. I guarantee you that. He's not. And so I think that needs to be the focus, not on the individual award. We were doing that 3 years ago, 2 years ago. I was fighting that battle too, going back and forth on Twitter with Sixers fans, 76ers fans. That is so old news. Michael Malone should not be bringing that up. He just shouldn't. That's 3 years ago.
I love it. I love it because you know what? Again, he understands what we all understand. Jokic is doing things in the early part of this season that even Jokic has never done before. And you know darn well that if Embiid was doing it, Giannis was doing it, LeBron, AD, the NBA coverage of it would be positively orgasmic. Orgasmic.
Yeah, it would go crazy. Great. Hey, Stoke, did you drive in today or did Mrs. S pick you up?
I made it, Mark.
Okay.
I drove myself.
All right.
But you got to be careful coming at me because I actually work on this show for 4 hours every day, okay? I don't just show up for, Fridays you show up for, sometimes you're here for 20 minutes, sometimes it's an hour. What's the saying, Evans? Those that live in glass house don't throw stones.
Shouldn't be throwing stones,
Something like that. Yeah, one of those. I just be careful. Just
tread lightly. I tread lightly. slightly. I'm just concerned.
But Stoke, I have worked for 8 years with Mark Schlereth, and plenty of snowstorms, plenty of early mornings, and Mark never failed to get here. He always found a way to get here.
I know. Yeah. I'm working on that. It's a work in progress. Look, there's a standard that was here, and I feel like the standard has changed a little bit when it comes to cold weather. So I'm working on it though.
Well, much like the Broncos, we hope you've learned.
Yes.
It was painful, but hopefully you learned.
Yep.
Right? And you'll apply your lessons moving forward.
That's the plan.
That's the plan.